tips for a perfect GRE argument essay are actually really fun to discuss. The first thing you want to keep in mind is that writing at least 3 practice essays is really helpful, especially since with the argument essay, the test maker can present the argument in a couple different ways. You want to visit ETS, that is the official test maker website, and look through their pool of argument essay prompts. When you are doing these practice essays, you want to include false generalizations, inadequate evidence, and misleading surveys or statistics to really point out where there are holes in the argument. In addition, if you can get someone to review your essays after you write each one, you can see great improvement. So ask that person who's reviewing your essay to check to see if you followed the guidelines and these tips that we're providing. You may find that there are a lot of things wrong with the argument that's presented, but you want to really focus on just 2 or 3 specific assumptions. You don't want to provide a laundry list of things that are wrong with it. You want to provide in-depth analysis of why specific assumptions undermine the argument. Speaking of which, providing alternative explanations for what the author is presenting is a great way to point out flaws within the argument. There is no perfect argument presented on the GRE. Otherwise, you wouldn't have anything to do. You could just say the argument is perfect, the end. The point of this is for you to analyze and then reflect on what the author has presented. So look for those 2 to 3 assumptions, and once you have located those, then from there you can figure out what alternative explanations could have explained the conclusions the author has reached. Now, in terms of avoiding first person and self-reference, this is important because you're the one writing the essay and it's from a personal perspective, so there's no reason to use I think or I believe. It's much more sophisticated to talk in the third person, and especially in your intro and conclusion, you do not want to use the word I. Overall, you want to have really strong writing. So when you're writing, you can use phrases like, "It is evident that," or "without a doubt," and by adding these really forceful phrases, you can show how confident you are in the analysis that you're providing. Now, in terms of really wowing the graders, providing specific recommendations for changes that would strengthen the argument is a great way to write your conclusion. You want to include that in your conclusion. It's the last thing that you want the graders to look at, and it helps you to reiterate your thesis. Your thesis is that there are flaws in the argument. So providing specific recommendations for changes helps you to convey that absolutely there are problems with this argument, but if you add the elements that are missing, you could strengthen what the author is trying to say. So think about these tips as you're writing those 3 practice essays, and you can maximize your score.